I need guidance on how to deal with what appears to be mold on wood subfloor around a toilet. From the looks of it, the mold has been there a while. After being away from my house for 2 weeks, I came back and noticed that the second floor bathroom had some linoleum tiles peeling up at the corners. I'll pull them off to find what's in the attached pictures. My plan is to take off the toilet, cut out the affected wood, address any damage under the floor, ceiling of first floor, replace the 5/8 of an inch wood flooring, tile the entire bathroom, probably with ceramic or porcelain tile, and then replace the toilet, which appears to have a slow leak near one of the bolts. Should I just wear an N95 mask or do I need something better? Since it will be a couple days before I can deal with this fully, should I try to remove the mold with some type of cleaner first? Or should I just cut out the wood and get rid of it ASAP? I have a wife and son in the house. I'm keeping the door closed, the vents sealed and the bathroom fan on. Please advise. Thanks. Hi and welcome. Okay, first thing I would like you to do is calm down some. The mold is not going to kill anyone or cause brain damage in 10 years. Yes, you should wear protective gear when remediating the mold, but as long as you do not disturb it, it isn't going anywhere. Closing the door will keep it contained for now. Give me a few minuets to write up a remediation plan for you. Thank you. Regards, Smitty.
Hi, Smitty. Here are some pics, just in case this is just expensive black wood and not mold. Smile. Smile.
Yep, that's mold. You will need to inspect the tile behind the toilet too. Remove at least 1 or 2 courses. Try and save the tile for replacement. Matching tile is a PITA. If there is evidence of mold around the toilet and the tub, then this is probably the case. The first thing you should do is create a sealed workspace. This is accomplished with a rille of masking tape and some plastic paint or sheeting. Put on your NIOSH approved respirator, 2 filter cartridges not 1, and tape the plastic to the inside of the door frame, see drawing. Let it hang down at least 2 onto the floor. Once it is up, the bathroom fan will provide a positive pressure to the outside that will prevent any of the spores from going into the house. End of part 1. More follows.
One additional piece of info. Our bathroom fan vents into the ridge vent of our upper attic. I was planning to vent it outside by the end of this year. Should I worry about this air getting into our attic? This attic was remediated for mold with using a paint spray about 6 years ago. That occurred because previous owner had bathroom fans going into attic and not vent or outside. Please let me know if this changes anything in your Part 1 advice. Thanks.
You definitely should vent it to the outside before you begin disturbing the mold. Part 2. Remove the toilet and the tiles as needed. Also check the drywall on either side of the toilet. If needed, remove affected drywall and double bag for disposal. Next, you need to determine where the floor joists are. You have to cut in the middle of them. That way you can nail both pieces back on the joists. Do not cut any joists out. At least not yet. Once you have the flooring removed, come back here and post a few pics of it. At this point you can start remediating the remaining mold. To do this, mix up a bucket of hot soapy water. Dishwashing soap works fine, and using a green scrubby wash the affected areas down real good. Be careful that you do not soak any drywall nail to the bottom of the joists. If it goes to a basement or subfloor, don't worry about it, but don't soak any drywall. The hot soapy water will kill any live spores and mold. You can use bleach in the mix, but it isn't required. Once the affected wood and area is scrubbed good, let it dry and apply a liberal amount of a good moldicide. Any hardware store will have some and all of the supplies I have mentioned. After that, it is just a matter of buttoning everything up. Let me know if you need anything else. Best, Smitty.
Thanks. FYI, the fan is currently venting through a large opening in a ridge vent, so I may be okay. If you think I shouldn't start this until I fully vent it outside, please let me know. Also, should I coat the floor with Kills Premium before cutting it out? I was thinking this might reduce the chances of any mold spores spreading further. BTW. I have a way to tell where the joists are because there's an access panel to the bathtub to the left of the toilet. Once I get the floor cut out, I'll post more pics of what's going on. Thanks again.
Dave, if it's pointing outside, then it is fine. Coating the floor with Kills is a waste of primer. Save it for the drywall. Believe it or not, the best way to kill mold is with hot soapy water. If you scrub down all of the lumber that has mold on it and get rid of the infected drywall, etc., you won't have a problem with it reoccurring. Just because wood looks moldy doesn't mean it is. Scrubbing the wood will get rid of the problem. The spores cannot live inside the wood. You also need to remember that mold is a part of poor lives. You will never get rid of it completely. Mold needs 3 things to thrive: moisture, food source, common dust works for some types, and a surface to grow on. If you eliminate any one of the 3 and you beat it.
Thanks again, Smitty. Are you saying to scrub off the mold on the wood subfloor to salvage as much of the it as possible, and then only cut out the sections that would be unsuitable for tiling? I was going to remove the toilet, cut out the black sections on the floor, inspect the joists, and then clean up the drywall, etc., as you mentioned. But if the soap and water will do the trick, maybe I won't need to cut out the floor unless the wood is really bad. LMK, your thoughts? I'll rate you again and add a tip when it's all done.
Hi, Dave. Sorry for the delayed reply. Been a bad day here. Seems like everything computer related deciding that today is screw you, I'm not gonna work right day. If the hardwood is mounted to a subfloor sheathing, then you need to remove the hardwood and inspect/clean the subflooring. You won't be able to get to the joist unless you remove both anyways. Let me know if you need anything else. Best, Smitty.
I totally understand delays. Later today I plan to tackle this mold situation. I found some TSP and also a container of bleach with germicide in my laundry room. Would these 2 mixed with water be as effective, or more effective, than just soap and water? If so, what ratio of TSP and bleach to water would you recommend? If soap and water is better, then let me know. Thanks.
TSP, trisodium phosphate, really isn't a good cleaner when it comes to mold. Dish soap has properties that sort of encapsulate the spurs and prevent their growth after the soap has dried. If moisture gets to the dried soap and spore mix, the soap will kill the newly forming mold growth once it germinates. TSP just flakes off of the spore once it dries. Everyone from the EPA to the National Health Board recommends simple soap and water, and a good moldicide afterwards to get rid of mold. Let me know if you need anything else. Best, Smitty to Home, Smitty 41603.2713696528.
Well, the dish soap and water worked okay, but the wood around the tub seemed really eaten up and something just didn't seem right. So I drilled a hole in the wood after making sure I wasn't going to hit a joint. I was worried because the floor was much deeper than I thought. I was expecting 5/8 of an inch plywood. It turned out to be 1.5 inches in 3 layers, top, 1/4 of an inch, middle, 3/4 of an inch, bottom, 1/2 an inch. I pulled up the top 1/4 of an inch layer around the toilet and found the previous owner just covered up the mold problem rather than dealing with it. He was renting the home out and unfortunately didn't seem to care what health effect it had on his tenants. Anyway, there was also some minor mold behind the tiles and on the drywall. And I found some other signs of mold behind some tiles and on the wood on another part of the bathroom away from the toilet but near the tub. Should I just rip up the section of the floor next to the tub/toilet and repair accordingly? Do you recommend using a fogger of mold control product to get under the joists and behind drywall, etc.? FYI? I probably will take off the entire 1/4 of an inch top layer of wood that was under the linoleum since I will tile it anyway. This will allow me to be at same height as flange. Once I take up the floor, I'll post pics of the joists, etc., to get your opinion of how to handle. In meantime, please provide any advice you have on how to handle. FYI? I'm leaning toward a total gut and remodel of this small bathroom because my guess is there are problems under the sinks and under the tub. But my wife may want me to just deal with mold, fix floor, and put on new linoleum and drywall, so the bathroom is functioning for holidays.
Dave, it sounds like the previous owner may have had a problem with the flooring, sheeting, and rather than remove the original 1/2 an inch sheathing, just put the 5/8 of an inch over it. This is a common practice to save money when the sheathing under the toilet gets screwed up. If there is evidence of mold around the toilet and the tub, then this is probably the case. Unfortunately, gutting the bathroom and remodeling it is the best option. If you need to use it during the holidays, it won't be too expensive to just put some linoleum down, caulk it on the edges, paint the drywall, and put the baseboards back up. That will prevent any mold from getting into the rest of the home. Once the holiday season is over, you can begin the remodel. As for the fogger, it won't do any good if there is mold between the layers of sheathing. The floor needs to come up to address that. Foggers are only good for topical mold, not deep mold. Let me know if you need anything else. Best, Smitty.
Thanks. Are foggers good for airborne mold spores too? I get stuffy whenever I go upstairs, even though the bathroom is blocked off with plastic and the gap under door is taped. Is fogging the upstairs areas not needed? My son and I have had sinus problems for a while. I'm not sure if this is related to the mold. Yeah, for the quick fix, I may just take up the 1/4 of an inch sheet that has mold on top and bottom. Then I'll use soap and hot water on the next layer of 3/4 of an inch flooring and put linoleum down for the holidays. But you're right, there may be mold under that 3/4 of an inch layer too, above the 1/2 an inch bottom layer of wood. So eventually I'll need to take up that part of the floor down to the joists and redo it. At that point I'll gut the entire bathroom. It's long overdue anyway. Let me know if using the fogger with mold control would be good for the mold spores, etc. Also, let me know if there are any tips for replacing the 1-foot-high section of drywall that I removed. Thanks.
Dave, foggers are a waste of money unless you are going after bugs. They will not kill the spores. They may kill the colony but not the spores. Spores are like little eggs that are encased in kryptonite. They have protection from foggers, Superman, and most spray-on applications. The only thing that will kill them is a good scrubbing.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.